Anthony William, he's got a new book out called Liver Rescue. He's the author also of Medical Medium, is how I have come across him. And he has an incredible story starting at 4 years old. Can you tell us the story?
Sure. I was sitting at the dinner table with the family, and heard a voice perfectly clear. It started actually in the morning, though, hearing the voice right when I woke up. And, I realized, like you were saying before, having this story, the credibility, a lot of people might be like, okay, he hears a voice, great, I'm going to trust this guy. It's not my fault that a voice gives me advanced medical information, even at 4 years old, where you can't even understand it, like intricate blood and intricate information about your immune system at 5, 6, 7 years old. So the story starts where I knew my grandmother had cancer, and that's how it started at that age. But when they looked into it, of course, she had cancer, but it even went as far as being in grade school, having a child sitting next to me in class, and I told the teacher that the child had meningitis because the voice told me the child had meningitis. And the teacher was like, well, I'm going to call the child's parents in. So she did. She called my parents in. We're all sitting there, and, the child's parents is saying, no, he doesn't have meningitis. We don't know where he could have even heard of this, everything like that. Anyway, the next morning, the child didn't come back to school because he was in the hospital all night long with 105 temperature, diagnosed with meningitis. So it was always like this. At age 14, I was a stock boy in a grocery store, and I was building up my clientele. I was literally building up my clientele at that age. And because I would know what was wrong with people, no matter where I was or what I was doing, because I would hear it perfectly clear. And, so it was always this every day in my life. It was never a day off. It was never an hour off. But it was information that was always advanced, just as advanced as it is now in the books about why someone has multiple sclerosis or rheumatoid arthritis or Hashimoto's thyroiditis. What are the real causes? Because science and research doesn't know the real cause of eczema and psoriasis. So all through my life, it was about hearing this voice perfectly clear that was giving me advanced information about medical and, about people, what's happening with people, medical knowledge. That's 20, 30, 40 years ahead of science and research, and still is after all these decades. And the thing is, I've dedicated my life, if a little bit more about my story, is I dedicated my life helping people, the chronically ill, being a voice for them because they were told they were crazy or lazy or they really weren't sick because their doctor couldn't figure it out. All through the 80s, 90s, all through the 2000s, people, I would be literally at nursing homes or be by my client's bedside giving them B12 drops when people didn't even believe in B12. I've been in it all along, all this time, helping people recover, giving them the answers they needed. And the waiting list got so big to see me. It got so big, it was gotten to the millions that I had to put the books out. So that's what happened. The book you're reading is the first book I put out. And that was because I couldn't do it anymore. We're doing the one-on-ones. I did thousands of them over the years. And I had to put the information now, the medical information that's advanced in the book so I can help out millions of people. And part of that's the celery juice.
Stop it.
The celery juice, yeah.
Stop.
It's amazing how it works.
So, Anthony, I share a story that I don't think I've shared on the air ever, at least all of it. When I was 14, I walked by my mother in the kitchen, and I remember looking at her. She had her hands in the sink, and I was walking down the hallway, and I heard a voice so loud that it made me stop, and it said, "Stop, go back, give your mother a hug, tell her you love her, she won't be here long." And I, much to my everlasting regret, I didn't, because I thought that was crazy. A couple of years later, I heard the same voice tell me the same thing about my grandfather, and it freaked me out. When I was in high school, and my grandfather died, a couple of years later, I heard the voice again. I was dating a girl, and she had no symptoms of anything. And I heard the voice again, and I thought for sure she was going to die. And I remember thinking, I don't want this. I don't want this. And I went to only one friend and I said, look, I've never told anybody this, but these three things, this is the third time this has happened, and the first two people died. And I am freaking out. And as it turned out, she had a brain tumor in the center of her head. And she ended up living. But it freaked me out. And I remember thinking, I don't want this. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. This is a curse, not a blessing. I don't want it. You have to have felt that way.
Oh, yeah. So I've always felt it's been a curse. I mean, really, I mean, it hasn't given me a normal life. And basically, it's just has forced me just to only do this work my whole life. You know, it's not about, and it was never about me. That's the thing. You know, someone said, when did he start this? Yesterday? Because if someone just hears about me today, they'll be like, when did he start this? 3 years ago? He must have taken a nutritional class. He must have gotten interested in health. Actually, no. It's always been this way. I've always been doing this. I've worked on thousands and thousands of people. And because I had no choice, I didn't even want to do it at the beginning. I didn't. But, you know, Spirit said to me, and I just say Spirit, and because the voice I hear, Spirit says to me that, look, you have to care about people. You have to have the compassion. You have to care about what they're going through, what their suffering is. You have to get in touch with that, and you have to do something about it. So I've dedicated my whole life doing something about it.